want to talk today about the good and the bad of subconscious conditioning. And this all kind of started out with my kids saying, "Oh my God, Mom, you sound just like your mom." So in case you don't know who I am, my name is Archield. Now, there's good ways to sound like your mom or you sound like whatever relative or person that you hung out with as a young child. And then there's bad ways when you sound like or act like this person. And in this case with my kids, it was a bad way. Just like earlier when I was trying to say generous and I said some weird other thing.
And generous?
My mother does that a lot, and I see myself, or rather hear myself, doing that quite a lot lately, and my kids make fun of me for it. And I just blame my mother, right? And there's funny things like that. They're just kind of like that subconscious conditioning. So with my mother, it's kind of in this language that's starting to come through. Other times you'll see yourself acting like someone, and it won't be something funny or cute like twisting on language. It'll be like anger, where you complain all the time. It'll be some really negative aspects of those people who nurtured us coming out through us. I mean, there's many times when I fussed at my kids and I could hear my parents come out of my mouth like, "What the heck? I wouldn't say anything like that." But there it was. That is the subconscious conditioning. It just pops right on out. I posted a thing where it says, "Do you knock on wood? Yes or no?" And I had to write it down so I wouldn't forget. 66% of you guys said, "Yeah, I knock on wood." And I thought, that's another form of subconscious conditioning. Do you even know why you knock on wood? At least I can pinpoint my funny language to my mom. Or, when I fuss at my kids and it's not exactly how I want to react, I can say, "Oh, that's something my mom said, or my dad said, or my grandparents said, or whomever." But why do you knock on wood? You might have an inkling about why you knock on wood. You have a wooden chair, knock on wood. But I bet you don't really know. Like, it was never even said exactly why you should knock on wood. I want you to really think about that. Again, this is another thing where we just assume, right? This is subconscious conditioning. It's just an assumption we make that this is the thing we do when we're in XYZ situation. And that is when we knock on wood. So for me, when I thought of this, okay, and I have to go back even further, I was thinking about the song. It's the disco version of Knock on Wood. I don't know why I was singing it to myself, but "Oh no, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh." Anyway, so that's probably enough for everyone because everyone says I sing off key, which is all right. I like my singing. All right, so I looked up, why do people knock on wood? There's a couple of reasons people knocked on wood in the past. And they all have to do with luck. So one is to be thankful of the run of good luck that you've had, right? Because they believed that spirits inhabited trees, certain spirits. And this isn't just like, some of the sources said, oh, just Indo-European, but actually this is all over the world. That belief that spirits inhabited trees. You would think the spirit in the tree by knocking on the wood, knocking on the tree. You could also ask for protection from bad luck so that your luck could turn around by knocking on the wood. And you can guard against being prideful or arrogant. And how do you do that? Of course, same way you knock on wood. You don't want to say, all this is because of me. You want to give honor to whatever spirit. So that's why you knock on wood, whether you realize that or not. That's where that whole tradition came from. Again, subconscious conditioning. So when I talk about subconscious conditioning, I want to talk about one other thing. Really, from birth all the way up to about 7 years old is when we get a lot of our subconscious conditioning. Like, we're just taking in things like sponges, right? We all could see how babies from like basically knowing almost nothing can master language and interact correctly within their family and all of that good stuff. And then all of a sudden we'd go to schooling and all that, and they just soak things in. A baby, a 3-4-year-old can learn like 3 languages at once. They're just soaking in information. And they're also noticing patterns. Have you ever noticed that kid who's on a swing, falls off the swing, and the first thing they do, just like go to a playground and watch this. Try not to look too creepy though. Take another kid with you. And you watch when that kid falls off the swing or skins their knee because they're running or whatever. They will look to their mother or whoever is there that's their nurturer, the caregiver, to see how that person reacts so they know how they're supposed to react. So if that person says, get up, keep playing, they'll get up and keep playing. If that person's like, oh, the kid will start crying. We teach kids how to react. And as a child, we soaked in those impressions so that as we get older, when we do things, we get hurt or hurt. Either we fall apart or we pick ourselves up and keep going. That's all subconscious conditioning. That's probably, you could see one way might be better or worse than the other. I know with my daughter, we're very much like, pick yourself up, keep going. And it got to a point where when she was really hurt, she didn't tell us, right? She would just like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to, quote, walk it off, right? Not the best deal. So again, both good and bad. You've got to really learn, and this is where I'm going to kind of pivot, to tune in to you, to what's really going on, to look at those things that you say and do when you react in certain situations, because that's going to tell you a lot about your subconscious conditioning. Now, it would be wonderful if we could remember, well, how did I learn to act in XYZ way in this situation? And sometimes we can't remember. We're really literally too young because everything made an impression on you from 0 to 7, okay? Everything. And I can barely remember things from before I was like 6 years old. I don't know, maybe you have a better memory, but I really don't. So just know you might not be able to pinpoint why, but now you are aware. And awareness is really that first step to correcting our subconscious conditioning, or at least so that we can, quote, react in a way that we want to now as adults, instead of how we might have seen to react as a child or how we did react as a child. You have the ability to switch all that around, but the first step is being aware that it's even an issue at all. Okay? Let me know any questions that you have. Until then, peace, joy, love to you. And transfer all that muck so they can transform into the vibrant and fulfilled and generous queens they really are. And that is kind of funny, and you'll find out why here in just a second. I